Signal interference. Maya Reeves pressed her palm against her temple, trying to massage away the headache that had been building all morning. The communication arrays on Aldaris Station had been malfunctioning for 3 days now, and as the lead communications specialist, the problem had become entirely hers. "Any progress, Reeves?" Station Commander Jiang appeared on her monitor, her expression a careful mask of patience that was clearly wearing thin. "Still tracking it, Commander. It's not equipment failure. The diagnostic shows all hardware functioning normally. It's more like interference." Maya pulled up the spectrum analysis. "See these patterns? They're not random. Almost like a heartbeat, but not mechanical." Commander Jiang frowned. "Well, find the source. We've got supply ships that can't dock without proper communication protocols. And the research team in Sector 7 is complaining about data corruption." "I'll find it," Maya promised, though she wasn't entirely sure how. After the call ended, Maya gathered her toolkit and headed toward the outer ring of the station where the interference seemed strongest. Aldaris was a relatively small research outpost orbiting a gas giant in the Cygnus system, only 80 personnel total, which made the mysterious signal even more puzzling. There shouldn't be enough equipment here to create this kind of problem. The corridor to Observation Deck C was dimly lit, conserving power during the station's artificial night cycle. Maya paused at the entrance, noticing that the door was slightly ajar. Strange. This section wasn't scheduled for use today. She pushed the door open and stepped inside. The observation deck offered a panoramic view of the swirling amber clouds of the gas giant below, illuminated by the distant sun, and there, silhouetted against the cosmic vista, stood a figure. "Excuse me," Maya called. "This area is temporarily restricted due to maintenance." The figure turned, and Maya felt her breath catch. He appeared humanoid, but with skin that seemed to shimmer with a faint blue luminescence beneath the surface. A cerulean, one of the telepathic species from the Rigel system. His eyes were deep violet, lacking pupils entirely, yet somehow conveying surprise. "I apologize," he said, his voice carrying an unusual resonance that seemed to vibrate pleasantly in Maya's ears. "I didn't realize this section was off-limits." Maya approached slowly, her handheld scanner discreetly active at her side. As she drew closer, the interference pattern spiked dramatically. "I'm Maya Reeves, communications specialist," she said, studying both him and her readings. "And you are?" "Larrick," he replied simply. "I arrived with the Taurus research delegation 3 days ago. 3 days. Exactly when the interference began." "This couldn't be coincidence. Are you carrying any unusual communication equipment?" Maya asked, trying to sound casual. Larrick tilted his head slightly, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "No, but I think you've already guessed what's causing your problem." Maya's scanner showed the interference pattern now perfectly synchronized with his breathing. "It's you," she said. "Your telepathic emissions are disrupting our systems." He nodded. "Ceruleans naturally broadcast on frequencies similar to your communication bands. Usually I can control it, but something in your station's electromagnetic field is amplifying me." He looked genuinely troubled. "I've been trying to find a quiet place to meditate and regain control." Maya lowered her scanner, suddenly understanding. "You're not registered with the Taurus delegation, are you?" Larrick's expression shifted, a flicker of concern crossing his features. "No, and I would appreciate discretion regarding my presence." Maya should report this immediately. Unregistered aliens on research stations violated about 15 different protocols. But something in his expression, vulnerability mixed with quiet dignity, made her hesitate. "I might be able to help you control the interference," she found herself saying, "but you'll need to tell me why you're really here." Larrick looked out at the swirling planet below, then back to Maya. "I will. But not here." He gestured toward the door. "Somewhere safer." Maya knew she was crossing a line, but her curiosity outweighed her caution. "My lab, it's shielded." She led the way, wondering if she was making a terrible mistake or embarking on the most interesting adventure of her life. Wavelength calibration. Maya's private lab was tucked away in a corner of the communications sector, a small room filled with diagnostic equipment. half-finished projects, and the lingering scent of the herbal tea she practically subsisted on during long shifts. She sealed the door behind them and activated the electromagnetic shielding. "This should contain your emissions temporarily," she said, gesturing for Larrick to sit. "Now explain." The cerulean moved with fluid grace, settling onto a stool near her workbench. Up close, Maya could see faint patterns beneath his luminescent skin, intricate lines like circuits that occasionally pulsed with energy. Was a diplomatic attaché for the Cerulean Collective," Larrick began. "3 weeks ago, I discovered evidence that certain members of our High Council had been corrupted by the Vex Consortium. The weapons dealers." Maya frowned. Vex had a reputation throughout the galaxy for destabilizing governments to create markets for their products. The same. When I prepared to present my findings, I found my quarters ransacked and my closest colleague dead. His violet eyes dimmed slightly. "I narrowly escaped with the evidence, but I've been pursued across 3 systems. I chose Aldaris because it's remote and primarily scientific. I didn't realize my telepathic signature would cause such disruption." Maya studied him, looking for signs of deception. "Why not approach Commander Jiang directly? Request asylum? Vex has operatives everywhere. Until I know who to trust, anonymity is my only protection." Larrick's gaze met hers steadily, including from you, technically. Maya tapped her fingers against the workbench, considering. "I'm going to help you control the interference. After that, we'll see." She began calibrating a small device, occasionally glancing at Larrick. "This is a neural harmonizer. We use it for communication through electromagnetic storms. If I can tune it to your specific frequency, it might help you modulate your output." Larrick watched her work with evident fascination. "You understand frequencies well for a human." "I should hope so. It's my job." She allowed herself a small smile. "Hold still." Maya moved closer, bringing the device near his temple. Their proximity sent an unexpected warmth through her chest, something beyond professional interest that she quickly tried to dismiss. "I need to synchronize with your natural rhythm," she explained, voice softer than intended. "Try to relax and maintain a steady pattern." Larrick closed his eyes. "Among my people, allowing someone to read your frequencies is intimate." Maya's hands faltered slightly. "I can stop if—" "No," he interrupted gently. "I trust you. I'm not sure why, but I do." The harmonizer began picking up his pattern, complex waves unlike anything Maya had seen before. Beautiful, almost musical in their mathematical precision. She found herself entranced by the readings. "Your frequency is extraordinary," she murmured. "It's no wonder our systems can't filter it properly." "Is that a compliment?" Larrick asked, eyes still closed but a smile playing on his lips. "A scientific observation," Maya replied, though she couldn't help returning the smile. After several adjustments, the harmonizer began emitting a countering frequency. The interference patterns on Maya's monitors immediately stabilized. "There," she said with satisfaction. "This should help, though it's temporary. We'll need something more permanent." Larrick opened his eyes. "Thank you, Maya Reeves," the way he said her name, giving equal weight to both words as if savoring them, sent an unexpected shiver down her spine. "You should be able to move around the station without disrupting communications now," she said, stepping back to a professional distance. "But you'll need to return for recalibration every 12 hours. "You're helping me stay hidden," Larrick observed. "Why?" Maya considered the question. "Because I believe your story. And because," she hesitated, "because everyone deserves safety while they figure things out." Larrick reached out slowly, his hand hovering near hers without touching. "Where I come from, we say that frequencies that naturally harmonize are drawn together across any distance." Maya felt her pulse quicken. "That sounds more like poetry than science." "Is there a difference?" Larrick asked with genuine curiosity. "Both seek to explain the patterns that connect everything." Before she could respond, her communicator chimed with Commander Jiang's signal. "Reeves? Systems are stabilizing. Have you identified the source?" Maya glanced at Larrick, then back to her communicator. "Yes, Commander. Just some unusual solar activity interfering with our arrays. I've implemented filtering protocols, Everything should function normally now. Good work. Jang out. In the silence that followed, Maya realized she had just lied to her commanding officer for a stranger. Yet somehow, looking at Larrick, it didn't feel like a mistake. 12 hours, she said firmly. Be back here for recalibration, and try to stay out of sight. Larrick stood. I'll return. And Maya, the evidence I carry could affect human worlds too. When I know you better, I'll show you. As he slipped out of her lab, Maya wondered what exactly she had gotten herself into, and why the prospect filled her with excitement rather than dread. Resonant Harmony's 2 weeks passed, with Larrick returning to Maya's lab every 12 hours for recalibration. These sessions gradually extended beyond their technical purpose, evolving into conversations that stretched for hours. Maya found herself sharing stories about Earth, the rushing rivers of her Colorado hometown, the way sunrise painted the mountains gold, the simple pleasure of rain against windows. Tonight, they sat on the floor of her lab, sharing a meal she'd prepared from station rations, but enhanced with herbs from her small hydroponic garden. You've never explained how cerulean telepathy actually works? Maya said, watching as Larrick carefully examined a strawberry, a luxury item she'd traded 3 dessert rations to obtain. Larrick took a tentative bite, his violet eyes widening with pleasure. It's not exactly telepathy as humans understand it. We don't read thoughts directly. We perceive and transmit emotional and sensory impressions through electromagnetic frequencies. Like radio, but biological, Maya suggested. Similar, though more intimate. He set the strawberry aside. Would you like me to show you? Maya hesitated only briefly before nodding. Yes. Larrick moved closer, his luminescent skin casting soft blue patterns across her face. I need to touch you for this. Is that acceptable? Her heartbeat quickened. Yes. He placed his fingers gently against her temples. Maya expected something dramatic, but instead felt only a pleasant warmth spreading through her mind, followed by a subtle shift in perception. Suddenly, she wasn't just seeing Larrick. She was feeling him, his presence like music without sound. Curiosity, admiration, and something deeper flowed between them. Maya gasped as she experienced the strawberry through his senses, the explosion of sweetness far more intense than humans could perceive, colors extending beyond her normal spectrum. Then came emotions that weren't hers, wonder at human resilience, fascination with her particular frequency, and an unmistakable affection that had been growing since their first meeting. When Larrick finally withdrew his touch, Maya felt tears on her cheeks. That was... Words failed her. Yes, he agreed softly. For my people, that connection is reserved for those we deeply trust. Maya searched his face. Why me? Because your frequency calls to mine. Larrick hesitated. What you saw wasn't my full form. Would you like to see that too? Maya nodded, suddenly understanding this was another level of trust. Larrick stood and stepped back. The luminescence beneath his skin intensified, patterns flowing more rapidly. His humanoid form began to shimmer, not dissipating but revealing what lay beneath the carefully maintained disguise. His true form was still bipedal but taller, his skin now transparent over a complex network of bioluminescent energy pathways. Where a human would have hair, delicate tendrils of light extended, floating as if underwater. The violet of his eyes now extended across his entire face in symmetrical patterns. He was breathtaking. This is how I truly appear, Larrick said, his voice resonating differently. Few non-ceruleans have seen us this way. Maya approached slowly. May I? She asked, hand outstretched. He nodded. Her fingers met his skin, warmer now, with a subtle vibration like touching a crystal wine glass after it's been struck. The tendrils of light seemed drawn to her, curling gently around her wrist without making contact. You're beautiful, she whispered. Larrick's patterns pulsed brighter. In my culture, that response would be considered quite forward, he said, humor in his voice. Maya laughed softly. Is this why you've been hiding? Your appearance would certainly attract attention. Partly. His expression grew serious as he returned to his more humanoid form, but mainly because of what I carry. Larrick retrieved a small crystal from his pocket. This contains evidence of Vex operations across 17 systems, including detailed plans for destabilizing the human colony on Proxima Centauri B. Maya's eyes widened. That's my sister's colony. I know. You mentioned her in our third conversation. Larrick placed the crystal in her palm. This is why I trust you with both my forms and my mission. Your sister's safety depends on this information reaching the right people. Maya closed her fingers around the crystal, suddenly understanding the weight of what they were involved in. We need to take this to Commander Jiang. Not yet, Larrick cautioned. The information identifies a Vex operative on this station. We need to be certain of Jiang's loyalty first. Maya was about to respond when the station alarm blared. Red emergency lighting bathed the lab. Attention all personnel. Commander Jiang's voice echoed through the communication system. We have unauthorized access in Docking Bay 2. Security teams respond immediately. This is not a drill. Larrick's skin pulsed with concern. They found me. Maya quickly grabbed her toolkit and the neural harmonizer. We need to move. My quarters are closer to the central hub. We can monitor the situation from there. As they slipped into the corridor, Maya felt Larrick's hand brush against hers. Their fingers intertwined briefly, a silent acknowledgement of what had developed between them, something neither had anticipated, but both now cherished. Whatever happens, Maya said quietly, we face it together. Larrick's skin brightened momentarily. Together, he agreed, as they hurried through the dimly lit passage toward an uncertain confrontation. Transmission breach Maya's quarters were modest. A single room with a sleeping alcove, small kitchenette, and a desk crowded with communication equipment. She sealed the door behind them and immediately accessed the station's security feed. How did they find you? She asked, fingers flying across her console. Multiple camera views appeared on her screen, showing 6 armed figures in lightweight tactical gear moving through the station corridors. Their faces were obscured by sleek helmets, but their movements betrayed military training. The neural harmonizer, Larrick said grimly. It doesn't just dampen my emissions, it creates a unique signature. If they have the right tracking equipment, they could follow it directly to you. Maya cursed under her breath. I should have considered that possibility. On the monitor, Commander Jiang confronted the intruders near the main junction. The security feed had no audio, but the body language was clear. Jiang was refusing them access to the inner station sections. One of the intruders handed Jiang what appeared to be official documentation. After scanning it, her posture changed, resignation rather than resistance. That's not good, Maya murmured. They have jurisdiction paperwork. Forged, undoubtedly. Larrick moved closer, his shoulder touching hers as they watched the screen. But effective. The security feed switched to show the intruders splitting into 3 teams, methodically beginning to search the station. Commander Jiang was speaking into her communicator, likely announcing the official reason for the search to the station personnel. As if on cue, Maya's communicator chimed. All personnel, this is Commander Jiang. We have colonial security forces on board conducting a search for a fugitive believed to be hiding on Aldaris. Please cooperate fully and remain in your current locations until the all-clear is given. Maya exchanged glances with Larrick. Colonial security wouldn't have jurisdiction here. No, he agreed. These are Vex operatives with excellent cover identities. Maya accessed the station schematic, plotting possible escape routes. We need to reach the emergency shuttles in Maintenance Bay 5. It's the farthest from their current position. And the evidence? Larrick asked, touching the pocket where the crystal now resided. We broadcast it, Maya said, suddenly inspired. Not just to Aldaris, but to every station and settlement within range. Once the information is public, killing us won't contain it. Larrick's skin pulsed with what she now recognized as admiration. Can you access the communication array from here? Not the main array, they'll have locked it down already. Maya pulled open a drawer and retrieved a small device. But with this emergency transmitter and your crystal, we can piggyback on the navigation beacon frequency. It won't have the same range, but it will reach the Ganymede outpost. As Maya began modifying the transmitter, Larrick moved to the window that overlooked the station's outer ring. His posture suddenly stiffened. "They're using thermal scanners," he said, voice tight. "I can see the frequency patterns." Maya glanced up from her work. "How long until they locate us?" "Minutes. My biology runs hotter than humans." Working faster, Maya connected the crystal to her modified transmitter. "I need 5 more minutes to configure this." Larrick turned to her, his expression resolved. "You won't have 5 minutes if I stay here." He crossed to her and took her hands. "My presence is endangering you and the mission." Realization dawned on Maya. "You're not suggesting I'll create a diversion," Larrick said firmly. "Lead them away while you complete the transmission." "No." The word escaped before Maya could contain it. "They'll kill you." Larrick's fingers brushed her cheek, leaving a tingling warmth. "They'll try, but ceruleans are more difficult to capture than they realize." The intimate gesture silenced her protest. Something passed between them. Not the telepathic connection they'd shared earlier, but an understanding that transcended words. "When the transmission is complete, take emergency shuttle B to the coordinates I'm leaving on your system," Larrick continued. "It's a safe location where allies will meet you." "We were supposed to face this together," Maya reminded him, her voice thick with emotion. Larrick leaned forward, pressing his forehead against hers, a cerulean gesture of profound connection. "And we will. This is not an ending, Maya Reeves." Before she could respond, he kissed her. The contact sent cascading sensations through her body, like standing in the heart of a lightning storm, terrifying and exhilarating. His luminescence briefly transferred to her skin, leaving patterns that slowly faded. "That," Larrick said softly, "is how my people make promises." He moved to the door, pausing once more. 30 minutes. Complete the transmission, then go to the coordinates. I will find you." After he left, Maya forced herself to refocus on the transmitter, even as tears blurred her vision. On the security monitor, she saw Larrick moving purposefully toward the station's observatory deck, his form beginning to shimmer with increasing luminescence. The intruder's thermal scanners immediately detected him. 3 figures broke off from their search pattern, converging on his position. Maya worked frantically, configuring the transmitter to package and broadcast the crystal's data. The navigation beacon would transmit for only 90 seconds before the system detected the unauthorized use and shut it down. She'd have one chance. On the monitor, Larrick reached the observatory deck. As the armed figures approached, he shifted fully into his true cerulean form, his luminescence now brilliant enough to overwhelm the camera's sensors. Maya initiated the transmission sequence, watching the progress bar with agonizing slowness. 10%, 25%, 40%. On another monitor, she caught glimpses of light flaring from the observatory deck. Larrick was using his electromagnetic abilities defensively. One intruder was down, another staggering. 3%, 84%, 96%. A blinding flash filled the observatory feed, then the camera went dark. "Larrick!" Maya gasped. The transmission bar reached 100%. Complete. Maya grabbed her emergency pack and the neural harmonizer, fighting back tears as she headed for the maintenance bay. Whether Larrick had survived or not, she had to reach those coordinates. Their frequencies had harmonized. And among his people, that meant they would always find each other again. Synchronized frequency. 3 days in an emergency shuttle gave Maya plenty of time to replay her final moments with Larrick. The mysterious coordinates had led her to Callisto, Jupiter's outermost major moon, specifically to a research outpost nestled in the ice-covered highlands. As the shuttle docked at the small facility, Maya wondered if she'd find allies or enemies waiting. The crystal's data had successfully transmitted to Ganymede Outpost, where it had been authenticated and forwarded to Earth Central Command. Already news networks were reporting on the Vex conspiracy and the attempted infiltration of human colonies. But of Larrick, there had been no word. The airlock cycled open. Maya stepped through cautiously, one hand near the stunner concealed in her jacket. The receiving area was empty, save for a single figure, an older human woman with silver-streaked hair and the bearing of someone accustomed to Authority. Communications specialist Maya Reeves, the woman said, her voice carrying a slight Martian accent. I'm Dr. Ilara Voss. Welcome to Callisto Research Station. Your Larix contact? Maya asked, not moving further into the room. Dr. Voss's expression softened. One of them. The Cerulean Collective has had quiet relations with certain Earth scientists for decades. Then you know what happened on Aldaris. We received the data transmission. Excellent work modifying the navigation beacon. That showed remarkable ingenuity. Maya stepped closer. And Larix? Do you know if he is alive? Dr. Voss finished. Come with me. The doctor led Maya through the small facility to a secure medical bay. Through an observation window, Maya could see a cylindrical tank filled with luminescent blue fluid. Floating within was a form that pulsed weakly with familiar patterns of light. Larix, she breathed, pressing her palm against the glass. He was severely injured, Dr. Voss explained. The Vex operatives used electromagnetic pulse weapons specifically designed to disrupt Cerulean biology. He managed to reach an escape pod, but by the time our retrieval team found him, his energy patterns were critically destabilized. Maya stared at the floating form, noting the irregular pulses. Will he recover? His physical form will heal, but his frequency patterns were severely damaged. Dr. Voss studied Maya curiously. He's been repeating your name. That's unusual. Ceruleans don't typically form attachments to non-telepathic species. We connected, Maya said simply, unwilling to explain the intimacy they'd shared. So it seems. Dr. Voss hesitated. There might be a way to help him, but it would require your direct participation. And there would be consequences. What kind of consequences? Permanent ones. Dr. Voss gestured toward the neural harmonizer Maya still carried. That device you created, it's synchronized with his frequency. With modifications, it could serve as a bridge, allowing you to connect directly with his consciousness and help stabilize his patterns. You want me to go into his mind? More accurately, you would create a shared frequency space, neither fully in your mind nor his. The doctor's expression grew serious. But human biology isn't designed for this kind of connection. The process would permanently alter your neural pathways. Maya looked back at the tank. What would these alterations mean for me? You would become partially telepathic, limited to connection with Larix specifically. Essentially, you would share a permanent frequency bond. Dr. Voss watched her carefully. Such connections are sacred among Ceruleans, usually formed only between life partners. Maya thought about the kiss, the promise Larix had made. How do we begin? 30 minutes later, Maya lay on a medical bed beside Larix's tank. The neural harmonizer had been modified and connected to both of them, its lights pulsing in rhythm with monitoring equipment. Focus on his frequency as you experienced it before, Dr. Voss instructed, making final adjustments. The harmonizer will amplify your connection. When I activate the full sequence, you'll need to call him back. Maya closed her eyes. Will I be able to hear you once we're connected? No, you'll be entirely within the shared frequency. Finding your way back will depend on the strength of your connection to Larix. Dr. Voss hesitated. Are you certain about this? Maya thought about the moment in her lab when Larix had shown her his true form, the trust they'd built, the promise in his kiss. Absolutely certain. Then we begin. As the harmonizer activated, Maya felt the familiar warmth spreading through her mind, but vastly more intense. Colors swirled behind her closed eyelids, resolving into patterns she recognized as Larix's frequency signature. Then suddenly, she was elsewhere, floating in a space that existed purely as sensation and light. All around her, fragments of consciousness scattered like stars, pulsing weakly. Larix! She didn't speak the word, but rather felt it resonating outward from her presence. The scattered lights flickered in response. Larix, it's Maya. Follow my frequency. She focused on projecting the memory of their connection, the strawberry they'd shared, the moment he'd revealed his true form, the kiss before he left. Each memory carried an emotional signature that rippled through the abstract space. Slowly, the scattered lights began to drift toward her, drawn by the emotional beacons she created. As they gathered, they formed a familiar pattern. Maya? His response wasn't words, but recognition, surprise, joy. I came for you, she projected. Follow me back. The gathered consciousness hesitated, emanating concern. Changed. You'll be changed. I already am, she responded, sending the certainty of her decision. The lights swirled around her, condensing, strengthening. Together, they began moving toward a distant, pulsing beacon that represented their physical forms. When Maya opened her eyes, she was still on the medical bed. Dr. Voss stood over her, expression a mixture of amazement and concern. Extraordinary, the doctor murmured. Your neural patterns have completely restructured. Maya turned toward the tank. Larek's form was fully luminescent now, the patterns strong and regular. As she watched, his eyes opened, immediately finding hers. No words were spoken, but she felt his presence in her mind, gratitude, affection, and something deeper that transcended human language. How do you feel? Dr. Voss asked, checking Maya's vital signs. Complete, Maya answered honestly. Different, but complete. 3 weeks later, Maya stood at the observation window of Callisto Station, watching Jupiter's swirling storms in the distance. Arms encircled her from behind, Larek, fully recovered, his humanoid form warm against her back. The collective has officially requested my presence at the Earth hearings on Vex activities, he said, both aloud and through their connection. As their new diplomatic liaison to humanity, Maya smiled. And Earth Central has approved my transfer to the Diplomatic Corps, assigned specifically to cerulean relations. A convenient arrangement, Larek noted, amusement coloring his thoughts. Very. She turned in his arms, studying his face, now as familiar to her as her own. Will be the first official human cerulean diplomatic pair. And unofficially? His violet eyes held a question. Maya closed her eyes, sending her answer through their connection, not in words, but in emotions and intentions. A future together, bridging two worlds. The scientists are fascinated by our frequency bond, Larek said, touching his forehead to hers. They believe it could be the model for broader understanding between our species. Let them study it all they want, Maya replied. Some connections transcend scientific explanation. Through their bond, she felt his agreement, and the promise that whatever vast distances might sometimes separate them, their frequencies would always remain perfectly synchronized. Outside the window, Jupiter continued its eternal dance, indifferent to the small miracle of connection that had occurred in its shadow. Two beings from different worlds, resonating as one.